A heavy thump. That was the sound of Bruce Lee hitting the canvas. No movie magic, no hidden pads, no perfectly timed stunt, just flesh and bone meeting the floor at full force. It was the kind of sound that made the arena fall silent for a heartbeat, 2 seconds before chaos erupted. It was a sound nobody expected to hear from Bruce Lee. But there it was. Less than half a minute ago, Bruce was upright, shirtless, radiating confidence, bouncing lightly on the balls of his feet in that unmistakable way. Hands up, body coiled like a spring, ready to strike with precision. The same stance that had made him a legend. Across the ring stood a man who looked like he shouldn't even be there. One arm missing, the empty sleeve dangling, the rest of him a mountain of muscle, scar tissue, and experience, proof of decades surviving fights, giving as much as he took. His name was Michael "Iron Mike" Sullivan, former heavyweight contender, former street fighter, former Marine who lost his right arm in Vietnam. Losing a limb didn't slow him down. If anything, it made him deadlier. And now, just seconds ago, he had told Bruce exactly what was coming. 30 seconds, he said, his voice low and gravelly. That's all I need. 30 seconds, and you're out. Bruce smiled that familiar, confident smile, the one audiences had seen in theaters 100 times, the smile that said, I know something you don't. Prove it, Bruce said. Thud. Bruce Lee lay unconscious on the canvas, his head at a sharp angle, one arm stretched as if reaching for something that wasn't there. Above the ring, the timer flashed, 28 seconds. Sullivan had promised 30. He'd given himself a 2-second margin he didn't even need. But this story didn't begin with that thud. It began 6 weeks earlier, in a very different place, with a very different sound. Mocking laughter, sharp, cruel laughter that cuts deeper than any punch. 6 weeks earlier, Wild Card Boxing Gym, Los Angeles. It was 6 a.m., the hour when only the dedicated were training. The air smelled of sweat, leather, and liniment. Speed bags rattled, heavy bags thudded, fighters grunted, trainers shouted corrections. This was a place for real fighters, people who hit and got hit day after day, not movie stars, not martial artists doing fancy tricks, real fighters. Bruce Lee walked in wearing simple black training clothes, carrying his own hand wraps. He had been studying Western boxing for months, integrating it into his Jeet Kune Do system. He had heard this gym was the best, and he wanted to learn, absorb, improve. Always his way, take what works, discard what doesn't. He approached the ring where a fighter was hammering a heavy bag, rhythm perfect, left, left, right, left, left, right. Bruce paused, impressed. Then he noticed it, the empty right sleeve, one arm, yet the bag moved like it had been struck by a sledgehammer. Can I help you? The asker asked, flat, calm. Not friendly, not hostile, just done with nonsense. I'm Bruce Lee, he said, extending his hand. I train martial arts, but I always look to learn from boxers. Your technique is impressive. The fighter didn't shake his hand. He studied Bruce instead. I know who you are, the Kung Fu movie guy. My kid likes your movies. Thank you, Bruce replied, lowering his hand. And you are? Sullivan. Mike Sullivan. Used to fight heavyweight. Now I train people who actually fight, not just pretend for cameras. The gym went quiet. Every fighter paused. Everyone knew Sullivan's story. Lost an arm in Vietnam, came back to fight underground when commissions refused to license him, and earned a reputation as Los Angeles's most dangerous man. Not despite his missing arm, because of it. One arm meant it was honed into a weapon nobody wanted to face. Bruce kept his calm. I don't pretend, he said. I train every day. I spar. I study. You spar with martial artists, Sullivan cut in. You do demonstrations, break boards, do fancy kicks for cameras. But you've never been in a real fight, not a fight where someone is trying to put you in the hospital, take from you what you can't get back. Bruce's jaw tightened. You don't know what I've done or haven't done. I know people think you're some kind of god, unbeatable master, and that's because you've never been in a real ring, not a movie set with choreographed moves and stunt coordinators. Real fighting, that's a different world. The gym is silent now. Only the sharp tick-tick-tick of a speed bag breaks the quiet. Someone forgot to stop it. Bruce Lee takes a deep breath. He knows he should walk away. This is ego speaking. This is someone trying to provoke him, someone bitter taking it out on him. The wise, calm Bruce, the master who doesn't need to prove himself, would leave. But then Bruce sees it in Sullivan's eyes. Not just bitterness, not just anger. Challenge, pure, raw challenge, and Bruce Lee has never walked away from a challenge. You want to test that theory? He asks quietly. Sullivan smiles, not a friendly smile, not a playful one, a predator smile. Yeah, he says, you and me, real fight, no rules, no rounds, no stopping until someone can't continue. And to make it interesting, I'll finish you in 30 seconds. If I don't, you walk away, reputation intact. If I do, you admit publicly that movie fighting isn't real fighting, that you've been selling a fantasy. Deal? Every trainer, every fighter, every person in the gym knows this is a terrible idea. Freddie Roach, legendary trainer, steps forward. Freddie, come on, don't do this. The guy just came to train. Leave it alone. But Bruce is already nodding. Deal. When and where? 6 weeks, Sullivan says. Enough time for you to train. Enough time for promoters to set it up. Pay-per-view. Let the world see what happens when Hollywood meets reality. Bruce nods. No handshake. Sullivan returns to the heavy bag. Left, left, right, left, left, right. Every punch echoes like thunder. Bruce watches for a moment and then leaves the gym. Outside, sunlight hits California streets, but his hands are shaking, not from fear, but adrenaline, from realizing what he just agreed to. He is going to fight a one-armed heavyweight who genuinely wants to hurt him, with the world watching, with his entire reputation on the line. Bruce Lee has trained for many things: movies, demonstrations, philosophy, the perfection of movement, but never for this. Never against someone who doesn't care about looking good, about style, about teaching a lesson. Sullivan only cares about winning, about proving a point through raw force. Bruce brings in real boxing trainers. They study Sullivan's underground fights, grainy, illegal footage shot in warehouses and parking lots. Men with 2 arms, bigger, stronger, destroyed by Sullivan's left. His single arm isn't just strong, it's trained, precise, lethal. Hooks from impossible angles, uppercuts out of nowhere, straight punches with the force of a car crash, footwork perfect. He doesn't fight like a man with a missing arm. He fights like a man who has turned asymmetry into a weapon. One trainer tells Bruce bluntly, "You're 5'7", 140. He's 6'2", 220. One punch from him, you're done. Your only chance is speed, movement. Stay outside. Don't let him set his feet. Don't trade shots." Bruce shakes his head. "I can't just run for 30 seconds. That's not fighting. That's surviving." "Then you'll get knocked out," the trainer says. "You can't hurt him. Not in 30 seconds. He'll walk through anything you throw, land something heavy, and it's over." But Bruce trains anyway, 6 hours a day, sparring with professional boxers under strict instructions to try to knock him out, learning to slip, roll with impact, move his head. His body adapts, faster, harder, stronger. His boxing improves dramatically,
But the truth is clear to everyone watching. 6 weeks is nowhere near enough. You can't learn in 6 weeks what Sullivan has spent 20 years perfecting. You can't overcome 80 pounds of muscle, reach, or decades of devastating experience. But Bruce Lee doesn't train to win. He trains because that's who he is, because giving up isn't in his vocabulary, because even if he loses, he will lose as well as humanly possible. 3 days before the fight, his wife asks if he's scared. Terrified, he admits, the first time he has said it aloud. Then don't do it, Linda says. Cancel. Tell them you're injured, anything. You don't have to prove yourself. Yes, Bruce says quietly, because if I don't, everything Sullivan said is true. I'm just a movie star, selling a fantasy.
Scars, old fractures, knots of hardened tissue, the empty sleeve where his right arm should be. Sullivan looked like a walking battlefield. Bruce Lee enters the ring to the strains of kung fu fighting. It's meant to be empowering, but to anyone watching, it almost sounds absurd. Shirtless, black trunks, lean and defined, but tiny compared to Sullivan's massive frame, he bounces lightly on his toes, running through a few warm-up movements. The crowd roars. They believe in him. They need him to win. Because if Bruce Lee, the legend, the man who seems to defy the limits of human movement, can't beat a one-armed fighter, what does that say about everything they've believed in? The referee calls them to the center of the ring. Exhibition match, he says, though everyone knows that's just a legal fiction. Fight until I stop it or someone can't continue. Protect yourself at all times. Touch gloves if you want. Sullivan extends his left fist. Bruce touches it lightly with his right. Eye to eye, a silent tension passes between them. 30 seconds, Sullivan reminds him. That's all I need. Prove it, Bruce replies. They return to their corners. The bell rings. Sullivan moves first, not rushing, not charging, just walking forward with calm inevitability, like a glacier creeping across the ice. Bruce circles left away from the power arm, light on his feet, bouncing, searching for angles. Sullivan adjusts. He's faced speed before. He knows how to counter it. Bruce throws a jab, fast, precise, hits Sullivan square in the face. Sullivan doesn't flinch, doesn't slow, just keeps walking. Another jab, and another, 5 in total, all clean. Sullivan's face reddens, but he doesn't stop, doesn't slow, just moves forward. 10 seconds pass. Bruce tries a low kick to Sullivan's lead leg. It lands hard. Sullivan grunts, but he keeps coming. Bruce kicks again. This time, Sullivan catches the leg with his left arm and yanks sharply. Bruce hops off balance. Then he sees it. The left hook coming from the side, Sullivan's entire body weight behind it. Bruce tries to pull back, to create distance, but Sullivan still has his leg. There is nowhere to go. Crack. The punch lands, right on the jaw. Not the chin, the hinge of the jaw. The place where pain isn't just pain, it's a total system shutdown. Bruce's head snaps violently to the side. His eyes unfocus. His legs give way. The leg Sullivan had held drops to the canvas. Bruce doesn't fall forward, doesn't fall backward. He collapses straight down, like someone cut his strings. Thud. Bruce Lee is out, lying motionless, unresponsive. The referee doesn't even start a count. He waves for medical staff. The fight is over. The timer reads 28 seconds. Sullivan doesn't celebrate. He doesn't raise his fist. He just looks down at Bruce, nods once, and walks to his corner. Told you, he mutters, almost to himself. 30 seconds. The arena is stunned, silent. This isn't how the story was supposed to go. The hero was supposed to prove that skill beats size, that technique triumphs over power, that human spirit can overcome anything. But reality doesn't follow a script. And in reality, a 220-pound professional fighter, armed with decades of experience and devastating power, just knocked out a 140-pound martial artist in 28 seconds, exactly as he promised. Moments later, Bruce Lee regains consciousness. His jaw is already swelling. His head feels like it has been split open. Arena medics shine lights in his eyes, ask questions. "Do you know where you are?" "Las Vegas," Bruce mumbles through the swelling. "Do you know what happened?" I got knocked out," he admits. Slowly, he sits up and looks across the ring. Sullivan is in his corner, being interviewed. The question on everyone's mind: did Bruce ever think he'd last this long? Sullivan simply shrugged. "I told him 30 seconds, gave him fair warning. He didn't believe me. Now he knows." Bruce slowly stands, waves off the medical staff, and walks across the ring. The crowd murmurs, expecting anger, excuses, or confrontation. But Bruce reaches Sullivan and extends his hand. Sullivan